Wedding planning is literally a second job. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you guys saw from the title of this video, we're going to be doing a wedding planning video. These are just my tips, my personal experience planning my own wedding, answering some of the questions that I asked you guys on Instagram and some of you guys really wanted to know. And even if you don't really have a wedding to plan for right now and you're just interested in the topic, I'm really glad you're here. If you haven't subscribed yet, just hit that subscribe button and also like the video. And then if you guys want more content like this or anything different that you guys want me to talk about, I will for sure make some videos. I also want to put a disclaimer out there that I am not a wedding planner. I planned my own things. These are my own experiences. These are my own opinions. Obviously it's your day.
I am not a YouTuber, so bear with me.
Thanks for tuning in. Wedding planning is literally a second job. You're going to have to literally set time aside. Another thing too is your wedding's never going to be exactly how you dream. Sometimes it comes out even better. So just put that in your mind too. Don't get discouraged when things don't work out. I often found that for my wedding, a lot of things that were in my head didn't really make sense, realistically speaking. And so for us brides, I know it's really hard when an idea doesn't work or you're worried about something and, you know, it actually doesn't even end up being a big deal on the actual wedding day. So just don't worry about that. And you definitely want to give yourself at least a year to prepare for the wedding. Kind of like the timeline of things, I would say, is as soon as you get engaged, you should definitely start searching for the venue right away, because usually they're often booked years in advance. For us, we were very, very lucky that a year in advance we were able to secure the date that we had, and we already were able to put ourselves on a payment plan until then. And you definitely just want to make sure that you have payment plans with all your vendors as well, and you can pay them all the way up until your wedding day. There are things that will be still paid for after the wedding day, so be aware of that understand that, you know, a wedding is not for everybody, and this is totally your choice with your spouse, whatever you guys want to do. You definitely don't want to have arguments about it. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's going to be the happiest day of your life and you're just going to have memories, and so you just want to have the best possible outcomes. And all right, so let's start with the first steps. So you just got engaged, you have no freaking clue where to start. Trust me, I was there, like in the same boat. I had no idea what to do. And one of the main things is I had to decide if I was going to get a wedding planner or if I was going to do this all by myself. Just want to say that it's totally okay for you to not have a wedding planner. I don't think personally that it is needed. That's your personal opinion. That's an extra cost. But it's totally okay for you to not have one. But I do see from the outside where it would be beneficial for you to have someone kind of organizing your day, especially if you don't even have anywhere to start and you're going to feel more secure with a wedding planner, then by all means do it. I am not here trying to bash anybody that did have a wedding planner or, you know, come at people who didn't. I just personally made that decision to not have a wedding planner. If I were to choose, I would definitely choose Say I Do Wedding Planner. I know a lot of girls have used her here in the Boston area. I do still follow her. I think her tips and her just planning in general is really, you know, on point, and I have no bad things to say about her. I never contacted her for my own wedding. You know, if I had a second chance at everything, I would definitely choose her. But don't worry if you don't have one, that's totally fine. So second thing is you want to, if you're not going to go with a wedding planner, you kind of still need a roadmap of what you're going to do. So I started with weddingwire.com. It had its own little like planning section. You can put in your wedding date, and then it kind of gives you a countdown of everything that you need to do up until there. I actually used Wedding Wire to go into my vendors as well. I found a lot of nice vendors through Wedding Wire. I actually didn't end up finishing planning my wedding on Wedding Wire. I went to Zola instead, so zola.com. There I was able to even do my seating chart, all my invitations, my guest list, just the countdown of everything till the wedding. And Zola was just super helpful in everything that I needed to do and just keep myself super focused. I also had an app on my phone for it. We also ended up using Zola as the wedding website once all the invitations were sent out. So people got prompted to go back onto that website. They were able to find all the information for the wedding. And in this digital phase, in this digital world that we're living in, it's so much easier to just have everything electronically sent back to you. So Zola did offer us that, where they could just, our guests could just sign in, confirm that they were coming, and also check their meals. So that way we got everything on a nice little spreadsheet, and we were able to give that to our vendor, and everything was so much more organized. So shout out to Zola for helping me out plan my own wedding. After you kind of, decide that you're gonna plan or have a wedding planner, you obviously need to talk budget with your future hubby to be or wife. You need to make sure that everything that's in your mind, and I know us girls, we have this like dream inside of our head of how our day is gonna be like. Trust me, I've planned my own wedding since I was like 5, so I knew that I was going to need a pretty extensive budget for the type of wedding that I wanted. I'm not bashing anybody that had a simple wedding or, had like a boho style outside, didn't really have that much, or the extravagant people that did way more than I did. Not everybody's different. Everybody has their own opinions on things. And at the end of the day, you marry your best friend, and that's all that matters. I always dreamed of kind of getting married in like a Newport mansion type place. I knew I wanted like a big house that had a ballroom inside. That's just the vision that I always had. The next step after you figure out your budget with your spouse is to figure out where you want your wedding to be. What style? Is it going to be outside? Is it going to be inside? Just kind of like, what's the atmosphere? Where do you want to be? After you decide on your venue or like the idea of where you want to go, just quickly Google search places like that are venues that you can use for your own wedding. So that's what I did. I wanted the Newport mansions here in Rhode Island. However, I went on a tour there, and I also spoke to the representatives there, and it turns out having a wedding there, not only is it extremely expensive, but also they have a lot of restrictions, especially places that, how I wanted to kind of like that museum vibe. They have a lot of restrictions on the timing, the music level, everything. So when you're doing your searches for your venues, definitely look into, are there any restrictions? What's the maximum capacity? What do they have to offer just besides the space? So I got pretty bummed out when Newport Mansions couldn't really accommodate to the style of wedding that I was trying to have, or even just having a wedding there in general. It just wasn't how they kind of advertised it on their website. Kind of kept Googling, kept searching, and on Wedding Wire, I came across Tupper Mannor, which is where we got married. And I saw the reviews and everything that they had to offer, and immediately I was like, Andre, this is our place. Like, this is where we're gonna get married. And so I went on a tour. Always go on a tour of every venue that you're trying to get married at. You need to walk the grounds, and trust me, like, it's weird, but only like brides and grooms, like, you're gonna understand that once you walk that space, you're gonna just feel like, okay, this is it. So once we went on a tour, we actually fell in love with the space. We were like, this is it. This is where we're going to get married. And there was actually a baby shower or a bridal shower going on at the same time. Like, we were able to see how an event takes place there. And then we were taken upstairs. Shout out to Sarah and Julie that helped us out at Tupper throughout everything. They talked to us, told us everything that we needed. And it's super important, guys, too, to go to your venue at least like a year before you get married, because you want to already kind of start on the payment plan for it. So another thing too about venues is that in order to save money, just a little tip, try to get married off season. So off season is usually anything from like October all the way up until April. Obviously, those are seasons here in America where people don't really get married. A lot of people get married in the summer, so venues have an off-season cost. For us, we got married literally the week before the season hit, so we were the last wedding to happen during off-season. We were so lucky to get that date, and that's exactly what we kind of wanted. We wanted a off-season wedding, just so that we could save on costs. I think it was about at least $10,000 cheaper. So definitely look into that. I will say that the venue sometimes is the most expensive part of the wedding, especially if it's a venue that is going to offer you everything that you need, tables, chairs, catering. Specifically for us, Tupper Mannor, they did offer everything that we needed in terms of catering, in terms of the tables and chairs, in terms of like even silverware, napkins, and all that stuff. They also provided the stay for us to get ready there, because it was an inn as well. So we were able to stay there and get ready the day before the wedding, and some family members even stayed the night of the wedding. So once you've picked your venue, you do want to start looking at your vendors. So your vendors are literally everybody that's going to work for your big day. If you already kind of have someone in mind, I already knew that like who my photographer was going to be. I already knew who my officiant was going to be. These are things that I always kind of like dreamed up, and like, friends of mine that I had worked with in the past, and I was like, I need you guys to be a part of my big day. I will link all of my vendors in the description below, just so that you guys can take a look at them. Like I said, these are just my recommendations, people that I used. These are the most important people, the important companies that are going to produce for your wedding day. One thing that I do want to say is you definitely want to
Pick your vendors wisely.
pick them wisely. I cannot stress that enough. Like I said, if your venue already gives you a lot and you don't need to reach out to caterers, or you don't need to reach out to decoration, then that's great. But if you do, then definitely use Wedding Wire as a good resource to find vendors. Also, just ask your friends and, just reach out to them and see what worked for them. Also, get different opinions and, get different prices on everything. You never want to settle for just the first person that you chose or the first person that you met with. You definitely want to meet with all of them. If they do offer kind of like a trial of something, even for cakes or whatever, if you need to go test them. If it's floral, you should go to their studio, see what they have to offer, sit down with them, see kind of an example of what they can bring to life. Always, always, always see the examples of everything before you choose that person. Save on costs. You want to find vendors that kind of give you a different number of things, especially on the entertainment side. You definitely want to get a package that has everything that you're looking for. That's a tip that I have for you guys. And then you also want to look into your officiant. That's super important too. Who's going to marry you? If you're a religious person and you're going to have a pastor, you definitely want to reach out to him at least a few months before, because you need to make sure that his schedule is set. Also, when you get your wedding license, you can get your wedding license, I believe it's about a few days before the wedding, but we did it 30 days before the wedding. The wedding license, the document that they give you on the day that you apply for your wedding license, your officiant has to sign it. So you need to make sure that that document is kept safe and also given to the officiant on the day of, and then the officiant mails it back to wherever you registered for the license. Also, another tip is for vendors, you want to try to get the ones that are the easiest to communicate with. And also, in this day and age, everything is digital. So all of my vendors, I actually paid them all digitally. I had contracts digitally with them. Places where I just went in and did like automatic payments or one-time payments. All right, so once you're done with your vendors, and you kind of picked, you know, who you want and how you want everything to play out, you want to start working on your list. Now, I can't stress this enough. Your guest list is the most annoying part of wedding planning. We knew we were going to have 135 people max. That was it. That's what we agreed upon with our venue, and that's what we had kind of like in mind already, that we weren't going to go over and weren't even probably going to get close to 150, and 150 was going to be our max. I am pastor's daughter and I know a lot of people. I grew up with a lot of people, so I already knew that my list was going to be very extensive. Andre is an only child, but he has a very extensive family of his own and family friends. We kind of share some family friends as well, so that wasn't that bad. But we knew that we weren't going to have a small wedding at all. Like, there was no possible way that we were just going to be able to invite close friends and family, because there's just no way, especially Brazilian people. It's very, very difficult to not invite, you know, everybody. But this is where you gotta have thick skin. Some people are gonna make the list, some people are not gonna make the list, and that's that.
There are people that still don't talk to me today because they weren't at my wedding, but honestly, this is why you weren't invited.
Your guest list, you want to stick to it. Obviously, family members first, and then close friends. Maybe coworkers after that. You don't want to add anybody on that list that you just feel bad for, or, you know, you grew up with them, but you literally haven't talked to them in 5 years. Like, don't invite those people. They do not have a place in your life right now. They're not going to have a place on your wedding day. One thing that we did too is we did not have children at our wedding. We said adults only. The only children that were at our wedding were family children and also close friends, 2 in particular that actually entered in the wedding as the flower girl and ring bearers.
Just don't invite people that aren't important in your life. That's it. That's all I gotta say. You do with that as you wish.
All right, so after you finally generate that list, you just want to keep it, because of the venue is going to ask you. A lot of times the payment plans are expectant on the amount of people that are actually going to your wedding, and there's different costs for different quantities of people. So that's why the list needs to be generated very early on in the whole process. Once you decide on a vendor, you're going to kind of know exactly how many people are going, and then you can kind of work on the list, and then the list is really generated right at the beginning stages. So a lot of people don't know that, but we kind of already had our list way before we even sent out invitations, which we'll get into that shortly. All right, so after that, you also want to start thinking honeymoon. I know that there's still so many things up until the wedding day, but the honeymoon process as well, if you already can start paying for it, or if you already want to book stuff, obviously paying for travel in advance is so much better. Again, this is just my experience. I have no clue
how it's going to be to, you know, plan a wedding during post-pandemic. So, best of luck to everybody that's trying to, plan a wedding or trying to book travel or honeymoon when there's literally a global pandemic happening.
We knew that we didn't want to go all out on a honeymoon. We ended up going to the bungalows at Key Largo in Florida. It's the first all-inclusive resort here in America, and we were part of kind of like the first few people to go to the resort, and it was amazing. I definitely recommend to everybody that is honeymooning, go to an all-inclusive place, because you literally don't have to worry about anything and you're treated like royalty. So once you get married and then you have that week like for your honeymoon, it's just like, it's the best week of your life. Just definitely plan your honeymoon right away, kind of like where you want to go and everything. Kind of set money aside for that too, because obviously you got all these costs going in for the wedding, but there's also another huge cost, which is technically a 1 week vacation right after your wedding, and that usually comes from the bride and groom's pocket first. Obviously you get gifts at your wedding where you can spend there, but definitely start thinking honeymoon process right early, and starting off. At this point, you got engaged, you're starting to plan your wedding. It's time to talk engagement party. This is where your registry comes in. I did mine at Target, so I had a wedding registry at Target. I went to Target physically. I looked at stuff that I wanted. Andre and I both knew that we wanted specific things for our kitchen. We didn't really add anything else that would be personal, like bedding. I wouldn't really want anybody to like give us something that we didn't like. So a registry is super important because it's literally everything that you want for your household. So instead of people just giving you random gifts, you might as well just tell them, hey, I want something for my registry or money. Definitely start working on that registry early on, because your engagement party will most likely happen before the wedding and at least a few months before the wedding. I know mine was 6 months for the wedding. So I already had everything kind of set aside and ready for the move as well. Like I said, once you make your registry, then you get working on your engagement party. An engagement party is a lot more simple than a wedding. It's just literally a party where people bring your registry items. You don't have to go all out for it. You don't have to invite everybody that's going to your wedding. This is just, you know, a little get together where you can get your gifts for your registry, have cake, have whatever. I would just say, just don't go all out. Me specifically, we wanted to make something that was a little nicer because we were inviting a lot of people that weren't going to be at the wedding. So we wanted them to feel included, and we wanted them to also have a good time because they weren't going to be able to share that experience at the wedding. But I would just recommend not going all out on the engagement party if you can find DIY stuff to do. A lot of my stuff for my engagement party was bought at Dollar Tree, things that I could reuse or things that I just donated to the church after for decorations. I was able to borrow a lot of decorations from, you know, other people and for the engagement party, and that's what we did. So once you hit kind of like the 6 month, 5 month mark, this is kind of where you should start thinking about invitations. This is where you should probably start looking at your dress. For me, I started working on my dress 7 months before the wedding. I did start looking with my bridesmaids as well. Kind of seeing a vibe. I went to David's Bridal. We went to different bridal shops just to kind of see what we wanted to wear on the day. I tried on a number of different dresses. I actually went with a seamstress, and she actually designed my dress with me, and we made all the changes. The whole process was just so much fun because I was able to kind of build my wedding dress. I wasn't just at, you know, David's Bridal and put it on and was like, oh, this is my dress. No, I knew that nothing was kind of like fitting my vibe at David's Bridal and all these bridal shops. So I was like, no, I need to make my own. I decided to just rent it. That's what my mom did as well. I knew that I didn't want it to just be sitting in my closet collecting dust or whatever. And I knew that I wasn't going to wear it again, specifically because I knew I wanted a big dress. I wanted a long dress. I ended up renting my dress, building it and renting it, and it was the best decision that I made. For my veil,
don't freaking spend money on an expensive veil.
It's something that you're not even going to wear for the majority of the wedding. You're only going to wear it for the ceremony and the pictures before. or the pictures right after, but then you're gonna take it off. So David's Bridal and I saw like a veil for like $500, and I'm like, I actually ended up getting mine made for me in Brazil for way cheaper, and I still have it with me, so that is something that I get to keep. Another thing too is accessories and shoes for women, for the brides. You don't need to go all out. You're not gonna wear those shoes again, most likely. I actually bought mine at like a small little shoe store here. My parents found it one day and it was literally like 20 bucks. I'm not gonna wear them again, but they are pretty. The accessories, I literally got them at Claire's. Nobody could really tell they were from Claire's, but you don't need to go all out on your accessories. Again, that's your choice if you want to, though, but you don't need to. For the boys, it's really easy to dress boys. So Andre actually ended up buying his suit. He wanted it specifically tailored. Inside his suit, he actually has our wedding date or our initial, something like that. So he just wanted to keep it. That was his personal preference. But I have my shoes and my veil to keep as memory. And my veil was actually used at my family friend's wedding after that. So for invitations, I actually did it through Zola as well. I used the guest list, and then I was able to generate invitations through them. And then I was taken to Vistaprint. And Vistaprint, you're able to do everything that you need, the menu, the save the dates, by menu I mean like menu choice that will go out with your save the dates. We didn't go all out on save the dates either. Everything was kind of like a minimal. We didn't spend that much money on invitations. You do want to get extra invitations and extra save the dates. Do not just order just the quantity going to your wedding for extra stuff. Sometimes family members want to keep it. We have some left over just for our personal, to keep our wedding invitation. So you definitely want to order at least 10 more than expected. You want to send them out at least, save the dates, you want to send at least about 4 months out. Invitations, you want to send at least 2 or 1 month out. You want to make sure that you have your RSVPs in before your venue's deadline to get the seating chart in place. Also, you just want to be sure that you have everything at least a month out, because the month before the wedding is literally the most nerve-wracking. So you definitely want to try and get everything out of the way. I did deviate a lot from my original plan. I did deviate a lot from Andre's plan. He deviated from my plan, but at the end of the day, we had something that worked for the both of us. There are things that you're not even gonna have time to do on your wedding day, and that's my only regret, is not having time to enjoy the day or to enjoy everybody, speak to everybody. There are people that I saw at my wedding, but I didn't get to talk to them. About 1 month before the wedding, you want to kind of start planning your bachelor or bachelorette parties as well. This is something that your bridal party will kind of plan for you, but you do kind of want to be involved in the planning process and everything. You don't need to go all out and go on a vacation with your friends, but if you want to, that's on you. Personally, for us, Andre kind of did his thing with his friends. I did my thing with my girls, and that was it. It was just one night, and it was a couple weeks before the wedding. As far as like bridal party goes, you do want to kind of ensure that everybody, knows that they're going to be a part of your wedding a few months before. And then if any of your friends want to help you throughout the process, especially if you're planning by yourself, you do want them to know at least that they're going to be part of the bridal party. So you don't need to go all out for like the gifts to say, will you be my bridesmaid or will you be my groomsman? What I did is I just had like little boxes with the robe and little things for like team bride or whatever inside. And then I had like a personal little note for each one of the girls with pictures of me and her. Guys, Andre had a box. He had a superhero shirt inside for each one. Another personal message for them, and a tie. And it was super simple. It wasn't all that. Andre knew that he wanted the whole superhero theme for under their shirts. So that's why we did that with the boys. So one of the questions that I got to was about flowers. Flowers are very expensive. If you are able to have fake flowers, that's great. I personally didn't want fake flowers at my wedding, and I had this, vision of like a whole arch for the ceremony. So Lilac and Lily was our vendor for flowers, and I absolutely loved everything that they did. They were not exactly in the price range where we wanted to be, but at the end of the day, that was kind of like a compromise and a conversation that Andre and I had to have. Everything worked out in the end, and it was so perfect. It was so nice. I loved my bouquet. Till this day, I still have my bouquet dried up. That's another tip too. Brides, save your bouquets, dry them up. Also the boutonniere for the guy. We actually have it in a case now, and that's something that we can keep forever. For photo and video, you definitely want to have a relationship with your photographer, because they're gonna point out little things in here and there. You're just gonna you're gonna feel comfortable taking pictures with them. You're gonna feel comfortable with them kind of like at your like intimate moments when you're getting ready and everything. If you don't really know your photographer, you're gonna kind of be a little weirded out. Didn't want like still photos. I didn't want staged photos. I wanted photos of people having fun. I wanted photos like candid photos. That was my style and how I wanted to always remember my wedding day. Yes, we had a few portraits in there, but for the most part, that's something that I talked about with Denise and Kat, to remember everyone laughing and smiling and crying and all that stuff. And I want the funny moments and I want the oops moments. And that's just a conversation that you're going to have with your photographer. Of course, photos last forever. Video as well now, but for photos for me, I literally sometimes like when I'm having a bad day, I just go look at my album because I miss my wedding day so much. For the cake, a lot of people think that you need to have a real wedding cake. It's easier to just get a fake cake and then have a separate cake for everybody. For us, we just went ahead and did the whole thing as real because we actually got it gifted to us. So we were extremely happy that we were able to have that option and we were able to keep some. I do recommend that being another option for brides out there. Just have a fake cake, having a separate one for the people to actually eat. And that doesn't have to be decorated or anything like that. Another thing I wanted to touch on is also party favors. Just put it in your head that no one is really gonna want anything that has your face on it or your names on it. That's kind of like an old-fashioned thing, I want to say. So what we did is we had little Brazilian sweets, which is bem casados, and we had them on top of every plate at the dinner table. Something that people took with them at the end of the wedding, but we definitely did not spend our money. People were honestly going to throw away after. We also didn't spend money on anything like the menu or programs. Like sometimes people print out programs to put on the chairs for the ceremony. We did not print any of those out. Again, not bashing anybody that has done that, but we just didn't personally see the need for it, and honestly it just would have been thrown away. So what we did is we just gave everybody the little Brazilian sweets, and also we had a photo booth so they were able to take their little photos with them that did say Sarah and Andre on top, but that's kind of like their own personal thing because obviously it's their faces and not ours. So that's the only thing that we kind of did, and we were kind of glad that we did that because we didn't spend that much money. So I just want to close out this video by saying at the end of the day, it's your day and your husband's day, and nobody's opinions matter. And think about the little things. You shouldn't think about the people that are talking about your wedding. People are going to talk regardless. So whether your wedding was big, whether your wedding is small, whether you didn't have a wedding at all, people are going to talk. So don't pay any mind to it. If you're happy with how everything turned out, then that's all that matters. Totally okay to, you know, change your plans and not have things that you thought you were going to have at your wedding, and just have fun. Don't forget to have fun. At the end of the day, the only regret I have for my wedding is not having enough time. I wish that the day didn't go by so quickly. And that's just the tips that I have for you guys. I know that there's a lot that we touched base on today. If I need to make a part 2, if there's anything that I missed, let me know in the comments below what you want to know. I'm also available for any questions that any of you brides have. I love helping everybody out. I love being a reference for everybody. Again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked this video. If you need me to make a part 2, if there's anything that I missed or something that you still want to know, leave it in the comments below. I will answer you guys back. You can also find me on Instagram, and we'll see you guys on the next video that I may never post.